Hi, my name is Randy Noble, and welcome to this edition of The Cross in the Desert, speaking hope and freedom to Iran. Just a few weeks ago, I had a book signing for this book, The Rose of Nowruz, Dreams of Hope and Freedom. It's a book written in behalf of my friends in Iran. It's a book to make aware to the world their plight, their struggle for freedom. It's based on some true stories that they've shared with me as I've chatted with them through Facebook, and I developed a story around it. It's really the story of a young concert violinist named Behera who becomes a woman freedom fighter in Tehran, one of the most dangerous cities in the world, to try to have hope and freedom. And during this book signing a few weeks ago, I shared some important personal testimonials of my real friends in Iran. I asked them to just put together a short paragraph or two about what it's like to live in Iran, and they did just that. And this week on The Cross in the Desert, I'm concluding this very special series entitled In Their Own Words. Because it really is in their own words. They sent me emails of their personal testimonies. Now, for the last 2 weeks, I've been sharing two distinct stories of my friends. And this week is the final installment in this series, In Their Own Words. And I don't mention their names because I really don't want them to be in any trouble. I want them to be safe. And that's very important to me, their safety. And so I'm going to read the story of my friend who lives in Tehran, and I won't mention her name. But I'm going to read it word for word, just the way she wrote it. And thus the reason for the title of this series, In Their Own Words. My friend writes that she's 27 years old, living in Tehran, Iran. And she says, talking about my country is very difficult since there is a lot to talk about and it makes me emotional, but I'll try to say it. And here's her story. In my country, there is truly a big difference between people and government. My people are very kind, friendly, emotional, educated, and warm-blooded. But my government are the most uneducated, brutal, and selfish one ever. We don't have any social rights, freedom of talking, writing, speaking, playing, watching, and if we don't obey them, being jailed, torture, and hanging would be our punishment. There is lots of difference between being a girl or a boy in my country. However, both of us are under pressure. Our wearing should be according to the government taste. If we wear light color or short dress or even makeup, Gosti or Shad, that is, the police, the morality police, will arrest us. If a girl goes out with his boyfriend and Gosti or Shad arrests them, they should marry or will be lashed. Also, they should pay fine. Here, instead of going to the park, cinema, concert, or happy places, most of the time we should be sad and cry for our martyrs or religious people who were died many years ago, as she says. However, we respect these people, my friend goes on to say, but we need happiness, fun, and party too. Here, many people are in jail since they talked or wrote about people's rights or freedom. Unfortunately, we can't do anything for them. However, we have brilliant artists, but our TV doesn't have any good programs, and all the films and news are censored in here, and having satellite is a crime. All my people are under economic pressure. Our payments is very low, but our prices are too much. Because of our government's actions, almost all the world put a heavy boycott on our country, and this matter caused many problems for us. Problems such as limitation of buying medicine for serious ailments. Every day the cost of living is rising, and people can't afford it. Most of the people know us as terrorists and have bad behavior toward us as we go to their countries. However, if they come to our country, we warmly will welcome them. People should know that we are not terrorists or some criminal creature from Mars. We are human, just like they. There is a lot to say, but feeling of being free, happy, and respected is our biggest wish. I wish peace and freedom for the whole world, especially for my dear country, Iran. Thank you. Well, my friend writes bluntly in her own words and talks about the struggle, the hopelessness, the fear, the lack of freedom and human rights because they can't speak out and disagree with their government. They have to really abide under strict, heavy Islamic precepts. Iran is an Islamic nation, Sharia law, and they must obey it to the letter, especially going out in public. The wearing of the hijab is mandatory, and there are consequences for not obeying Islamic law. And so what I've tried to do in these last 3 programs is to put in focus what my program, The Cross in the Desert, is really all about. Because truthfully, it's not about me, your host. It's about my friends in Iran. I want to put the focus on them. I want the world to be aware of what they struggle with every day. And pray that as you come to my Facebook page, Randy L. Noble, that you will see on my page their stories, their struggles, and their cries for freedom. If you go to my page, Facebook, Randy L. Noble, you will see several postings every day about the plight for freedom for my friends in Iran. Now, in the last few minutes, after I've closed out this series of my stories in their own words, I want to talk to you just in the brief few minutes I have of just an amazing thing that happened to me in this past week. 3 years ago, when I began writing my stories, Beyond the Veil, Shining Star, A Light in the Darkness of Iran, I focused in on the problems in Iran and the plight for freedom. And the inspiration for my books were focused around 2 Iranian Christian girls who at that time were suffering horribly in Evin prison in Tehran, Iran. Their names were Miriam and Marzieh, and all over the news you could read about their struggles, about their cries for what was going on, and how they were suffering in this prison simply because they were Christians and they had a Christian faith. And for Muslims to become Christians in Iran, it can mean their death. Well, Miriam and Marzieh, subsequent to this episode, were released and fled to another country. And I'll never remember how much I prayed to one day just meet them and share with them the incredible way their stories had shaped my life. Well, just this past week, I had a real answer to prayer. Right on Facebook, I met my friends, Miriam and Marzieh. They are incredible, beautiful Christian ladies that have written a book that is going to come out in April. And this is called Captive in Iran. It's the story of how God mightily used them as Christians in Evin prison. And I am so anxious to read this book. I am so thankful to God that after praying for them and after how their stories shaped the writing of my books, that in His providence and in His timing, He made an opportunity for me to meet them. It truly is an honor because they're very humble people. They're very down-to-earth, everyday Christians. But they have an incredible story to share. The amazing thing is that Miriam and Marzieh were so gracious to allow me to post my book on their page. And so in many ways, we are working together. We're working together to be one voice for hope and freedom to Iranian people, because that's their mission. That's why it's so important for them to share their story. I really highly recommend their book, Captive in Iran. I think it's a life-transforming book that will show how the grace of God helped these 2 young Christian girls to stand up under incredible circumstances and pressures and to not be afraid. There were many times where they were sick. There was even an instance where my friend Marzieh's cellmate was taken out of her cell and executed. There were some dark times, but God in His graciousness enabled them to be a witness for Jesus Christ in Evin prison. And not only to be a witness and a light in the darkness of Iran, but he enabled them to also be released and to come here to live in the United States, where they can use their freedom to write a story of hope and freedom to the Iranian people. And so it is an honor and it is a pleasure to not only meet them, but to chat with them, to encourage them, and to pray for them, and to work together with them. Because again, I say, we have one cause together. We are one voice, shining the light in the darkness of Iran for hope and freedom. And so, I just want to say to Mary Marzia, God bless you. It is a privilege and an honor to know you as my friends after all of this time. I just encourage you to come to my Facebook page, Randy L. Noble, or you can email me at rnoble1065@sbcglobal.net if you have any questions. If you'd like to read my book, The Rose of Nowruz, Dreams of Hope and Freedom, all you have to do is come to my Facebook page and leave your email address, and I will be happy to send it to you on a PDF file. It has been a pleasure meeting with you this week. I hope that you have a blessed week in the Lord. God bless you, and I will see you on the next edition of The Cross in the Desert.